Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warriors back, and today we're going to look at the Death Star Droid. Now, the Death Star Droid made his original debut back in the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, back in 1977. So he wouldn't see an action figure release until a few years later. That would be in 1979 on the Star Wars 20 back. So once Kenner was making those figures for about a year and a half, out came the Death Star Droid, and here he is here in all his glory. And you'll notice right away he's very similar to another protocol droid that we know, C-3PO, except he's a little bit different looking. He's got, insect looking face, eyes, snout. You can see he definitely looks a little bit more sinister than 3PO does. Trying to get the right angle there. He's got a vac metallized look to him. So vac metallized figures we don't get anymore, but that's the glory that we had with these guys then. You can see black painted eyes on him. His snout is black painted as well. I can bring his face up. Look at his face a little bit closer there. Yep. Okay. And then you can see the black on his shoulders as well. Now, you can see he's definitely a different sculpt from 3PO in a few areas. The legs are very similar. They might be the same, as well as the arms. Okay. But you'll notice that his chest piece is different. He's got different wiring technique here than 3PO does. Shinier, flatter chest part here. As a kid, I used to always envision these guys as being the evil versions of 3PO, the bad droids, and then 3PO and R2 would have to go on adventures to try and stop these guys, because these guys were helping Darth Vader and the Imperials, and that's how I used to envision and play with the Death Star droid. Now, he's vac metallized, and just like 3PO, they don't survive being moved around too much. They'll become very, very loose. This one's pretty good. It's not my original one, so he's pretty good in that respect. He does have articulation at the head. He has it at the arms, and of course at the legs. You can lift the legs up, and you can see underneath he's got his pegs, so you can position, sit him, and stand him in many different play sets, or on your action figure display case, so you can display him as well. So that's what he looks like from the front. And we turn him around over here to the side. You can see what he looks like from the side. You can see he's got a distinct look. He definitely looks more sinister, more of a bad guy than 3PO does. And then, of course, on the back here, and he's got a bolt that holds him together. And, of course, a very similar pattern here like 3PO does. And you can see the detail that Kenner put on him. Over here, it says his year made, 1978, Hong Kong, Lucasfilm Limited. So you can see that as well. So that's the Death Star droid. That's what we got initially back in 1979. And, of course, that would survive Star Wars, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And we wouldn't see another Death Star droid until 20 years later. So, Star Wars would go dormant for a bit. It would come back in the 90s with the Power of the Force 2 line. And with the Power of the Force 2 line to be out for a bit, and right near the end of the Power of the Force 2 line, we'd finally get our first Death Star droid. Now, what used to be the norm, and I'm sure it's still kind of the norm with these action figures, is whenever they make a line of figures, the first wave is always the one that's picked up the most by retailers, and then the last few waves are the ones that aren't picked up because they still have a lot of stuff cluttered or sitting, and you miss out unless you order them online. In this case, these were available online because the wave was actually canceled. I don't remember exactly where I picked it up from. It might have been Entertainment Earth, but it was 4 figures, freeze frame ones. It was the Death Star droid. It was a Death Star Trooper, or Death Squad Commander, Pote Snitkin, one of the skiff guards, and Rees. So a wave you wouldn't want to miss out on because they were all brand new figures. And the Death Star droid was one of those ones here, and that's this guy here. We finally get 20 years in the making, a brand new sculpt. Now he's got a different paint job from that original one. The original one had the silver shiny look, so there was a little bit of disappointment that he wasn't exactly the same as that one, but you can see the sculpt-wise, he's perfect. He's stood the test of time. He's got updated sculpt with technology of 1999. Of course, because he was towards the end of that Power of the Force 2 line, he doesn't have the bulkiness like the original figures did. He's already became more realistic, and that's a great thing over here. And you can see his color. It's like a black color, but it's kind of hard to tell on the camera here, but he does have, it's more like a gunmetal look to it. And you can see he's got silver eyes, so you can turn him at the head there. And you can see the head's more realistic, shape, dome, everything's a little more styled a little bit better. At the arms as well, up and down. You can turn him at the waist, which again was the norm thing for the Power of the Force 2 stuff. They added that articulation in there. And of course at the legs as well, so you can lift his legs up. So that's what he looks like from the front. He does have his foot pegs there on the bottom, as well as the stamp, the year he was made. And that's what he looks like from the side. Okay. And if we turn around over the back, you can see what he looks like from the back, and it's even got his wiring painted here on the back. He's an amazing figure, considering that we almost didn't get him. Had an online retailer not picked him up, we never would have got these figures, and it would have been a shame because everything was prepping for episode 1. So that's the Death Star droid. That's what we got for 1999. That was a 20 years in the making figure from that first one that we got. So the next time that we would see him would be 5 years later. In 2004, there would be a Sandcrawler release, and it wouldn't be a wide release. It would be an online retailer exclusive again. This time it was a previews exclusive, so the Sandcrawler came with a few figures. One was a Jawa, and one was a Death Star droid. They're both existing molds with a slightly new paint job, and the Death Star droid is one that's a worthy addition on there, so I never got that one originally with the Sandcrawler. I ended up picking up the Sandcrawler loose. But a few years later, I was able to pick up that Death Star droid as well, because he came out as part of the 30th anniversary Saga Legends. So in the Saga Legends wave, they did a fan poll, so fan choice figures, which ones they'd like to get made that they weren't able to get before, and there was a few of them that got made. One was the Death Star droid, the other one was the Death Trooper from the Dark Forces game. So those were 2 figures that came out, and of course that Death Star droid got a name now. Here he is right here. Now they named him RA7. So he got a name, he got a slight different paint job because he's supposed to depict the one that was on the Sandcrawler. And if you look at the card picture there, that's the figure, right? The character, but then they have him with the Death Star background. So it's a little bit confusing because the one of the Death Star is actually supposed to be that guy. He was a dark color, not the brighter color, okay? It's more of a goldish look, bronze look to the character. He's got a nice paint job on there. It's exactly the same sculpt as the one that we got as part of the freeze frame. He's got lots of weathering on there. If we bring him up close, you can see the weathering is just the shiny parts not being shiny. They're looking dull, just the clear plastic underneath there to give it the nice look. And he comes with the coin, and here it says Saga Legends. Here, up here, Fans Choice 30th anniversary. And now, of course, he's got a name. RA7 is no longer a Death Star droid. So they were doing that with a lot of characters. They were giving them names as it went along. And then you can see the other characters on the back there. And my apologies, the one that was a part of the Fans Choice was the Dark Trooper. So this one over here, not the Death Trooper. You can see the back here. Again, another picture of him in the Death Star, but in the Death Star, he was a dark color, not that one there. And you can see the other figures that were released in that wave as well. So that was in 2007 as part of the 30th anniversary. And again, it's the same sculpt as that freeze frame one. So we go ahead 1 year to 2008, and then there was the Legacy Collection, and then Hasbro did something really neat, very creative that we were asking for, and I wish they'd go back to this with figures because we get a lot more figures that we wouldn't normally get made this way. They had build-a-droids, so the Droid Factory build-a-droid figures, so every figure would come with a part of a droid, and we get a whole bunch of different droids made, and the Death Star droid was again one of them, an update, a new version of him. And the first one that we get would be 5D6. So that would be the darker one over here. That's the first guy that we'd get. You can see it's a modern update to the figure. So imagine you bought one figure, you got a leg. You bought another figure, you got another leg, another arm, body, and headpiece. So 6 figures to build one figure. But again, worthwhile. You can sell a lot of figures this way because everybody will pick up the figures to build a Death Star droid. You can see he's a much more realistic look to that figure. He's got the big bug eyes on there. Different paint job from the top to the bottom. He's got articulation there at the waist, so swivel at the chest / lower stomach waist area. Turn him side to side. He's got articulation at the shoulders there, just up and down. At the elbows over here, he does have articulation where you can bend the arms out, and of course you can turn them at the wrist area as well. So on both arms there. Leg articulation, you can move his leg up. You can bend him at the knees, which is nice. And of course you have a little bit of articulation at the ankle, but nothing really drastic that I'd try. He's a droid, right? He's not really going to do much action poses. So that's what he looks like from the front. He was our first Build-A-Droid figure. That's what he looks like from the side. Okay, he got nice weathering to him. And that's what he looks like from the back. So this is the one that you could put in your Death Star. So that's what it looks like from the back as well, okay? And then, of course, there'd be a running change with that figure. So exactly the same figure, just a different paint job. also from 2008, and this one would be named MB RA7. So just like the RA7 that we looked at before, but he's got an MB in the front, and that's this one over here. And he's silver. He's like a flat matte silver color, but it's exactly the same figure that we just looked at a second ago, the 5D6 one. Same articulation as the other guy has, but because he's in a silver color, you can see a little bit more detail on the wiring, etc. on the figure, and then of course more detail on the head. And of course this was my favorite because it depicted that one that was in the original movies, toy line, right? It was more of a silver look, so that's the figure that we saw. It's a shiny silver. It's not as shiny as it could be, but as a build-a-droid figure, it was awesome. And if I put them side by side, you can just see the difference in look on these figures side by side. So they look like two different figures, even though they're the same sculpt, because the paint job is far in between. So you could put one on your Sandcrawler, you can put one on your Death Star, you can do whatever you please with these figures. And that's what we got for the Legacy Collection. But we would get another one in 2008 in a comic pack with Boba Fett. So they took the Marvel comic, and it's kind of fitting to talk about it now because we had Book of Boba Fett, and we see Boba Fett survive the Sarlacc pit. Well, this is the book that it happened in, right over here, this comic book, Star Wars number 81. And we got a comic version of Boba Fett, but we also got a comic version of that Death Star droid in there. He's purple in color. He's a nice looking figure. He just stands out from all your other action figures if you have him on the shelf. You can put him as part of some Mace Windu display, but it's that same sculpt as the one from the freeze frame. So it's not the newer one that was Build-a-Droid, but you can see the Boba Fett's got like all sorts of sand and dirt on him there, the comic colors, but that's what that figure was from. It's worth noting because it was released as well on card, and there he is on the back with Boba Fett. And you can see Boba Fett lost his memory coming out of the Sarlacc pit, and there's a few other figures that came out as well in that comic pack wave. So that's what we get from the Death Star droid. And we were bothering Hasbro when they brought, bugging them and begging them when they brought the Vintage Collection line back to get a new Death Star droid so we can complete our original 96 figures. And our wishes finally came true in 2021. We got a Vintage Collection version of the Death Star droid. I actually just got mine, and it's inspired me to do this review. It's a Walmart exclusive, so unfortunately they made it exclusive with Walmart instead of making it a fan channel exclusive, because there's a lot of people that want this figure and they don't want to get their figure damaged in the mail. They don't want to get their figure delayed or not receive their figure at all, and distribution issues galore with Walmart. But he's out, and I was able to pick him up, and here he is in all his glory. Bring him over here on card. Look how nice that card back is. It's got the 50th anniversary logo here of Lucasfilm on top, but you can see that original card back is just amazing. It brings back a lot of memories as a kid, and the paint job on this character is very, very well done. They didn't use a new sculpt. They used that Build-a-Droid figure sculpt that we have, but the paint job is just so good that it's such a nice figure. It's such a nice card back. It's so worthwhile to have one if you like to display your figures on the shelf. So that's what he looks like from the front on the card back. Got the Kenner logo there as well. Let's flip him around to the back. We can see the timeline, the 50th anniversary timeline here on the back with the figures. And then, of course, the other ones that were Walmart exclusives, the Death Star droid, the Tusken Raider, and, of course, Luke Skywalker in the Endor outfit. And this one is VC number 197, in case you were wondering what number he was there. So that's what he looks like on card. I do have one open as well to show you. So let's bring that one forward here. That's this guy here. Now, he is the exact same figure that we were just looking at as the Build-a-Droid one, but they've given him a shinier silver paint because they haven't used any chrome paint in a long, long time for pollution reasons. And they've given him some nice dirty accents on here, so he definitely looks like the one that was sitting in our Sandcrawler. So maybe we're going to get a Sandcrawler at some point if we're lucky, a brand new Sandcrawler. So let's look at his head up close just so you can see the detail on the head there. You can see how they've painted it, how they've weathered it. It's such a nice figure. Articulation-wise, exactly the same. They haven't changed anything. And then we'll compare him over here just so you can see him with his counterpart to see what's changed. You can see how he's shinier and a little more weathered and more realistic than that previous one. But again, both figures look really, really good. So that's the last Death Star droid that we got. That's in 2021, right towards the end, 2021/2022. So Here's what he looks like from the side with the paint job. And again, I'll show you what it looks like from the back. And you can see the wiring and stuff is very similar to that previous one that we had released. Now, the only thing that we're missing with the Death Star Droid is a Black Series 6-inch one. So I don't have one as yet released on Black Series, but I'm hoping that one will come out at some point because they are making a lot of the original figures. And, you know, that's it for the Death Star Droid. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I really enjoy making them, and I really appreciate that you guys are watching and leaving comments, and I look forward to making more. See you in the next video. Take care.